Welcome back to the Man Cave, everybody, for episode 49 of the ManTFup podcast. I'm Kimmy B.
And Lenny.
Woo! My goodness gracious. I wish we actually would just record like our first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of pre-show, because let me tell you, that's the real podcast right there. But anyway, welcome back, obviously. We've got a lot to talk about today. Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, share, and follow. We are absolutely everywhere. Get ready to leave your comments. Something tells me this could be a good one. Now, Len, I came across, obviously, a lot of different headlines this week on social media in particular. One of them being that Sweden is apparently building a road that recharges electric vehicles that actually drive over it. This is giving me like straight Tron vibes. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's happening here, but apparently the company is called Electrion, and they specialize in wireless charging solutions for electric vehicles, and they built roads in Sweden that actually charge your car as you drive over it, which seems brilliant in essence, right? Because I would assume that that's some sort of like kinetic stuff, right? Your car is creating energy as it's driving over this roadway, and that roadway, if it's able to absorb it and kick it back to you.
It's like charging your phone. Right?
That's what you think that it is?
No,
like,
it's like charging your phone. They're pumping electricity through it.
Through the road?
It's not.
Why? Why can't we find a more feasible way of doing this?
You're talking about like a perpetual motion machine. If we had a perpetual motion machine, there would be no need for anything else, because you would just turn it on and it would run forever.
So why doesn't somebody come up with
whatever power? They've been trying to for 100 years.
Get it together.
And there's people who've tried and been like shut down. Yeah, but you know the problem with any of this technology that is going to actually save the planet is the people who sell you the things that are killing the planet don't want the technology that's going to save the planet.
Got you.
You know, that was Tesla's whole thing in the early 1900s was that, you know, transmitting electricity wirelessly. You know, this has been around for hundreds of years. Hundreds. They've been trying. Yeah, hundreds. Since the dawn of electricity.
When did electricity dawn? Do you have an exact year? Come on, give me a number.
I don't have an exact year, but they discovered batteries that were used for electroplating that they call the Baghdad batteries.
The Baghdad batteries?
Yes, from, BC.
What? Before Christ?
Is that what BC stands for?
You like that?
Before that dude.
That was a little flex right there. Somebody's like, BC, what is that? Before Christ.
Yes.
No, I really want to know when. Hold on, I'm Googling when was electricity invented.
Oh.
When was electricity first invented? 1700s. Was it really Benjamin Franklin in the key?
No. But
he's like, no.
Yeah, but see, that's not necessarily true. Because what electricity, like I said, they made batteries. They found them
crazy.
Buried. They're clay pots with a copper rod. They fill it with lemon juice, and it generates power. That's a battery. That's electricity.
Yeah, that's wild.
They say they used it for electroplating. They don't know what they used it for, but
they don't know, but they were doing it.
Yes.
Probably what was it? The Greeks, the Italians. Where was this?
No, it was in the Middle East.
Oh,
so
even further. I'm just saying.
Mesopotamians. Who knows?
Well, kind of.
Wanted someone
I'm
over
just
there.
saying. Listen, you though brought something up about
electric
cars. Yeah, electric cars here in the U.S. Yes. Very local. Is this a local situation?
No. I was speaking to someone who's a firefighter in New York.
Oh, okay.
And he were talking about how the county that he's in is no longer purchasing fossil fuel vehicles for their mass transit. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they run for 8 hours. And then to recharge them, it takes as much electricity as it does to run a standard house in their town for a month. So, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And people, this was all pushed based on climate change. Mm-hmm. And there's enough stuff out there to prove that electric cars are not the answer to climate change. Mm-hmm. They're just moving the problem of climate change to somewhere else. You can't point at that vehicle and go, hey, that's putting out carbon. No, now you have to look at the plant that's making the electricity for that car.
Yeah.
And you have to look at the mines that are mining the materials for those batteries.
Yeah.
And they're, I mean,
you're basically trading one evil for another.
You're creating more pollution.
Mm-hmm.
It's more pollution to to change everybody to electric cars than it would be to leave everybody at
but
this.
Is this a short-term problem that will hopefully get better in the long run? Like, is this something that if we don't actually start the transition, we're going to constantly be having this same dialogue about it? So we may as well bite the bullet now and start the transition and hopefully push the industry into a cleaner way of creating power overall.
You know, I mean, could it be efficient as this? Yeah. I mean, 100 years? Is that what? Are we planning for 100 years out? Because I don't think too many people are planning for 100 years out. I don't think too many governments are planning.
Well, we don't have, according to climate scientists, we don't have 100 years to fix the shit. You know what I mean? They're like, you got
2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 weeks. You're gonna be
like, you got 5 to 10. Like,
get your water boots.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's not about climate. If it was about climate, they wouldn't be pushing this so much, because you're going to destroy a lot more places on this planet mining for the materials you need to make these batteries. So here's the thing. Could electric vehicles be a solution to bring down fossil fuels at some point? Yes. When the batteries are 1,000 times more efficient than they are now.
And not made from lithium.
And when our power grid could support it. Because, you know, I mean, our power grid is old.
Yeah, as most stuff here in this country.
In most countries. I mean, you know, maybe China has some
Japan,
more
I feel like some of our Asian countries, they're a little more forward-thinking when it comes to infrastructure.
Yeah. But, I mean, they were built later than ours also. They're newer. Their infrastructure is newer than ours. But it's still, you know, it's one of those things.
But their countries are much older.
Nuclear power is a solution that nobody wants to hear about. Nobody wants to use it. So, I mean, you're burning fossil fuel to make your batteries. You're burning fossil fuel to power your cars. It's the same fucking thing. It's more.
Well, especially depending upon what kind of power your area use, like, you know, whether you're on nuclear power, hydropower.
Yeah.
I mean,
correct.
Because in Florida we use nuclear power, correct?
In some areas. But we still use fossil fuels.
Okay, but we have Turkey Point, which is closest.
Yeah.
But again, now you're talking about the waste that's created by a nuclear power plant.
I think, you know, 70 to 80% of this country still runs on some form of fossil fuel. That's a lot. And that's not something that's going to change overnight.
No.
I'm
not mad at pushing the energy industry in a direction where they are focused on evolution. The whole reason why I think we get pushback is because they haven't figured out how to do it and monetize it yet. I think as soon as they figure that out, they'll be fucking balls to the wall. Like, they'll be all in. They just have to figure out how to do it and do it where it's still effective, efficient, and cost effective.
They're still selling electricity, but they're not putting the money into building plants that are efficient.
Yeah. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I own a chunk of land in, let's say Texas, or as you pointed out to me before, the Dakotas, and I know that it's sitting on oil, right? But wind energy all of a sudden has become the more lucrative form of energy. And we can actually do all the same things we could do with wind power that we could do with, you know.
There's too many
But what I'm saying to you is that they would split that land. They would drill on half of it, and they would put fucking windmills up on the other half. Because at the end of the day, they want to make money.
Yeah, but again, wind is not a sustainable power.
But
even if, Kimmy, here's the problem with wind is it's variable.
Well, not only that, they also haven't figured out how to actually harness power. They haven't figured out how to hold on to it. That's the whole issue with solar.
Yes, that's the problem with solar. That's the problem. So they make plenty of power, but they're not
So on a super windy day,
they're not regulated.
So on a super windy
and they're not
day, they
stored,
create
yes.
too much power, and then on a dead day,
so-
there's no power. So until we
Yeah.
can figure out how to store the extra wind from the super
City
windy
of New
day.
York is running great on a windy day, and the next day everybody's got to turn their lights off.
So So does that go back to what I was talking about before? That kinetic
Battery storage.
Does that go back to that? Like figuring out how to harness it and keep it where it just is.
No, you can't. Batteries. That's how they keep it stored. It has to be stored. The power has to be stored, and then it has to be put out at a certain. Like power plants are regulated. Nuclear plants are regulated.
I get that.
We put out X amount of energy per hour, X amount of kilowatts, whatever it is.
Why can't they figure out how to store it?
They need more batteries.
No, because the batteries are bad though. We figured this out.
Where else are you going to store it?
Listen, be innovative, people. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Best scientific minds on Earth are on Earth right now. You know what I'm
They're
saying?
trying to figure out how to store it.
They
can't.
need to. Like that's.
I mean, it even when in smaller, solar things, solar panels on a house, you can end up selling electricity back to FPL.
Yeah.
But then FPL has to monitor and adjust their power output from their plants to
Gotcha.
take into effect how much solar is coming in. So it
I don't
could
mind
work.
inconveniencing
You're not getting
FPL a
rid
little
of
bit.
you're not getting rid of the power plants.
Well, no, because at the end of the day,
I mean, it would basically everything would have to run through the power plant, and as the voltage drops from the wind or the solar,
then the
they would
power
have-
plant has to
the
pick
power
up
plant
the,
has to
pick up the juice.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. So I mean, it on paper it seems like it would work easy, but
It
You know.
clearly does not.
no, because these are trillion-dollar industries that are not putting their innovations.
Because they
And
can't
dollars.
make money out of it right
Well,
now.
they don't want to spend their money. They're making their money right now.
There, but again, it is a short-sighted viewpoint. And I say that even though the short-sightedness of it might be 100 or 200 years, I don't know what the fossil fuel reserves on planet Earth look like right now. I know you said,
They're
in
not gonna
America.
go anywhere. We're not going to run out of gas.
Not in our lifetime.
No,
not in your kids.
Not my kids. No.
But what I'm saying is, again, it's a short sight. They're not infinite.
No, but
They're finite. There's a finite amount of
But
them.
here's the thing. Instead of pushing electric cars on every person when we're not ready for it,
I
like
agree
right
with that.
now, you can't charge your car sometimes in California because
Yeah.
we don't have the capability, the infrastructure to charge your car. But you have to in 2035 only buy electric cars.
You really think,
It's
though, in the next 12 years, they want to figure something out where you'll be able to charge your car?
They need more power.
But we've also
They need to make more
But
power
don't act like
plants.
this is a new thing, though, because we went through the gas shortage where y'all would have to queue up
Listen,
in
technology-
lines for hours and hours and hours, and you couldn't get gas except for on your day. We do the same thing with water and watering our lawns.
120 years ago, we couldn't fly anywhere. We didn't have planes.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, so we've advanced so much in the last 120 years. And now, computing power, the computing power in your phone is doubling every 2 or 3 months, 4 months, 6 months.
Yeah, I have a
So-
computer. We all do.
So why aren't we waiting till we have this technology, which will be here sooner than later, instead of pushing all this junk out on us now? Just it doesn't make sense. They're not.
It's capitalism, though. Like that's like the mini CD. Remember? Do you remember like we had CDs and then all of a sudden there were mini discs, and then all of a sudden we went to DVDs and mini discs kind of just like.
The other thing about electric cars is
And they've been around for a minute.
no. Listen, there's been electric cars around forever, and listen, they're fine for certain applications. Okay. I mean, there's plenty of people who love their electric car. They feel like they're saving the planet. That's great because they can only see what's in their driveway. They can't see the power plant that's pushing all that electricity into their car. Fine. Now I lost my train of thought. God damn
That's
it.
okay. Well, I was gonna say I had you did
Oh,
get it back.
Wait.
You got it
Wait,
back.
wait.
You got it
So
back.
the other thing about electric cars is control. So like Ford announced that they're going to in their electric cars be able to, if you stop making your payments, or if you're
Just
late,
turn your car
if
off.
you're late on your payment, they're going to turn off your radio and they're going to turn off other applications in your car. And if you're late 3 months on your payment, the car's going to drive to the bank by itself.
Although what happens to the Repo Man? Those are some good TV shows. I'm just saying. I enjoy watching the drama unfold between
South Beach Repo.
somebody trying to hide their vehicle from getting repossessed. Like that's
the guy
actually,
backing across the neighbor's
that's
lawn
actually
sideways.
Great entertainment. I don't know how I feel. I might have to draw the line at that one just for my own
But
entertainment purposes.
it's control. The electric cars are tied to the grid. Everything's tied to the grid.
You know what's funny? Say what you want about Hollywood, but they really do be foreseeing a lot of this. Do you remember Minority Report?
Yeah,
with Tom Cruise? When you get in the car and the car just, you know what I mean? And then everywhere you walk with the advertising, it scans your eyes and it's like, hi, Tom, how are you today?
It's better for us because there's going to be a big uproar on how traffic accidents kill all these people. And if we just had all our cars on the grid, there would never be any traffic accidents.
Yeah, until you get behind the wheel of your Tesla and you fall asleep.
No, my favorite
and it forgets that there's construction going on.
My favorite
is the
one with Will Smith, iRobot.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
When all those electric cars crash when he's trying to escape, and they all just start crashing all the cars into him. You know, see, that's the problem. Somebody's always going to have their finger on the button.
Okay, I didn't know.
How much control you want to give up?
I didn't realize this was going into
it's
Black Mirror territory. But I guess we are.
Beyond all of that.
Zone. Welcome to.
I mean, Minority Report is already happening. You know, when he's walking through the thing.
That's what I just said. And it scans your eye and it knows who you are. That is, you know.
That's what your phone does.
Yeah.
That's what your phone does. It's listening.
But no, I actually interviewed a climate scientist a couple of years ago, and he was frustrated at the lack of general understanding of, you know, climate and how natural things can affect, obviously, global warming, which we've touched on here. But that was another big concern of his, kind of piggybacks off of what you were talking about. Not only do they not see beyond what's in their driveway and in the power plant, but they also don't see what's going on in other countries that are not as far along or as economically, you know, solvent as we are, right? Where do all of our old cars go? They don't necessarily go to the junkyard. A lot of them, if they're still drivable and in good condition, end up getting shipped off. So they may not meet your, you know, emission standards in California, but they do in a Venezuela or maybe a Colombia or on a Caribbean island somewhere. Yeah. Or our old refrigerators. You know, there's a person in China, I forget what the woman's name is. I think it's like a family-owned company, who makes billions and billions of dollars by basically buying our trash. They buy our garbage, get it back to China, and then go through it and pull all the wiring out of it. The copper, the this, the that. So they're literally
recycle it.
Fielding through all of it, right?
Yeah, there's a place in India where they recycle ships, and they do it right on the beach.
That's wild.
They drag the ship, they run the ship aground, and they cut it up right there on the beach. It's like one of the most toxic places in the world.
But he was just talking about, you know, these old refrigerators that we have, all of these things that are outdated by our standards, right? That aren't good for the environment or are emitting toxic fumes, end up somewhere else in the world. So if you're not focusing on a global economy, right? If you're not focusing on getting everybody on par and really elevating the global community, you're constantly going to be basically just in the hamster wheel. Because as much as you evolve here in this country, if you still have an entire continent, you've got 1 billion people in China. You've got another 1 billion people in India. And when we talk about poverty rates, you know, what we think of as poverty here versus what they consider poverty there, right? I mean, sometimes having a refrigerator is a sign of wealth. Right? We take it for granted.
The guy on the corner of 441 and Griffin collecting dollars
is rich.
He's middle class in most third world
But it's not
countries.
a joke. But he had such a great point, and I wasn't even thinking of that. You know, we've been talking about CFCs since I was in middle school. I literally did a school play all about reduce, reuse, recycle. Remember when the 3 Rs were like the big thing? And we're talking about chlorofluorocarbons and all of this shit.
Yeah,
and
that's the Freon.
But all of those refrigerators went somewhere. Right? We didn't just get rid of them. So they're now being used 40 years later, they're being used in another country.
The technology the technology is still being used. All of these things that they used to produce here that are now outlawed here are being, used in other countries.
Yeah.
Pesticides that are outlawed here are being used in other countries, and pesticides that are outlawed in other countries are being used here. It's like, there's no.
We're pretty low. We're pretty low on the list of things that are banned and that can't be used here in this country. Let me tell you, at least when it comes to nations that we would consider to be quote unquote on par with us. Like when we think about like the Great Eight, the G8 and things like that, like the nations that are involved, the EU. I can't speak to what Russia bans and what they don't, but like the EU in particular, a lot of things they don't allow in their foods, in their cosmetics, in their cleaning things.
Way more than us.
Way more. Our list hasn't really been updated since the 60s. Just so.
Yeah, it's not.
Roundup.
It doesn't get updated until Roundup. We got sued for using Roundup, but meanwhile, you can still buy it.
That's crazy.
You can still use it.
It's highly toxic, though. Like highly, highly toxic.
Well,
but
it's made to kill things.
Yeah. Like, it's made to kill the insects that are eating the plants, but your plants then absorb all of that shit that just killed the insects. And then you go and consume it. And then you wonder why.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, so I just loved when he pointed that out because it wasn't something that I had thought about. And you're now doubling down on it, when we talk about this. And again, many of us just want the quick fix, and we want to do our part. I'm not going to hate on the people that are trying to be good global citizens, right? But again, there is so much more to the conversation. We've had guests on this podcast that are extremely well-versed in the subject. And it's funny because people still want to go toe-to-toe with quote unquote experts, people, engineers, with scientists that are telling you like, listen, I know you love your Tesla. I get it. But it's not as great as you think it is. Like, and I feel like it should be pretty common knowledge at this point that it takes your car, your Tesla, I don't know. I'll just use all EVs. I don't, and that's probably an overreach, but like 6 years to really mitigate the negative impact on the environment it took to build your car. The battery in particular, right?
Yeah.
So 6 years. And in America, we don't like having a car longer than 4.
And that's just the car.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the electricity that's
yeah.
charging your
Yeah.
car. You factor that in, and they're way less efficient than fossil fuel vehicles.
I don't know what the fix is, though.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about hydrogen, which, was
Isn't that a little on the combustible side?
Huh?
Like, isn't that a little on the combustible side?
Yeah, but it's water.
Okay.
It's made from water. So, there's a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's gas is combustible, Kimmy.
No, I'm talking about, what was I thinking of? No, I'm thinking of the balloon. What were the balloons?
Yeah, they were filled with hydrogen.
Okay, like that just like blow up.
Yeah, versus helium.
Okay.
Yes. Well, they blew up because there was a spark. But yes, that you're talking about a balloon that was filled with.
But can that happen in your car too? Are these hydrogen powered vehicles? Is that what you're saying?
That can happen to your battery.
Okay.
We were also talking about the batteries. If the battery catches fire, it doesn't need oxygen to burn.
Yeah.
Which means you can't put the fire out.
Well, no, that just happened. I don't know if you saw it. It went viral. There was somebody left a portable charger in their pant pocket and then put it in a dryer in a laundromat and just left the pants in there, and the battery heated and exploded in the dryer and literally took out the entire wall of dryers, the front window and wall. And this was just a portable, like a phone charger in a pocket in a dryer. So imagine a big ass lithium car battery. That's scary.
They're extremely dangerous. They're extremely dangerous.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was right, though, when I said, like, the hydrogen. Like, I'm thinking of, what was the big balloon?
The Hindenburg.
The Hindenburg, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was filled with hydrogen,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, hydrogen is flammable. There's no doubt about it. That's what makes it a good thing for combustible engines.
Gotcha.
Because it's combustible.
I am clearly
but
not.
storage of hydrogen.
Scientist.
Storage of hydrogen is much easier now than it was. Like propane.
Okay.
Propane's the same thing.
Yeah.
Hydrogen and propane,
Still
probably the same, close to the same
Yeah.
explosiveness.
But, like, if you get in an accident, I wonder, is it more likely to if you crash?
It depends on how they build the cells that hold it.
Got it.
You know, it's
So we need to go back to the drawing table, is what you're saying. Just people need to keep working on this shit.
It's again, it's money. It's narratives. It's money.
But I mean,
it's more
energy.
than real.
But again, if they found a way to monetize on it, it'd be exactly where they'd put all their resources. Because in this country, energy is at the top of the list,
right
and
now,
folks like making money.
Right now, changing over those things cost way too much money.
Yeah.
You know, updating the infrastructure to have a battery system that will carry solar and wind and keep it sustainable is way too much money. You know, there's going to come a point where the infrastructure is not going to carry the electricity that the cars are using. You know, that's happening in California already.
I get that, but I feel like we are first of all, California shuts its power off all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's also a fire reduction, you know, a fire hazard reduction. There's a lot of reasons why California does rolling
they don't
blackouts.
have their own power.
Yeah. I mean, but we also saw what happened to Texas, who does have its own power and didn't take care of its own power grid.
Yeah.
In the case of, you know, a major storm. And then what happened? They needed to get hooked back up to our power grid. Yeah. So, I mean, the whole power thing is an interesting dynamic and conversation, and there are clearly quite a few moving pieces to it, but I still think that we're far. So on the other side of that, right? We have all the climate aware individuals that are out here thumping about get your electric cars down with the fossil fuels, right? And then you have all the people on the other side of the extreme argument, you know, that we're gonna shut the power off on the country, and I think we're very far away from both of those. Because, first of all,
yes,
electric cars are expensive as shit. They're still expensive.
Expensive as
Facts.
shit.
But you can't really, but the used car market is flooded with a lot more
yes.
fossil fuel vehicles
Yeah.
than they are with electric vehicles. And electric vehicles actually hold their value a little better.
For a few years.
Yeah.
But then they become obsolete. I mean, there's nothing you can do with them. You know, I mean, if a battery dies and if a battery dies in a Tesla, it's $15,000.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I mean, but that's the whole deal with the technology. That's supposed to be the deal with the technology, though, is that they can, update it via the World Wide Web. Like, it's kind of like all of your systems can be updated.
That's the software. That has nothing to do with the battery. The battery has a shelf life.
But that's what you're saying. You're speaking specifically about the battery of the vehicle, because it's only good for a certain amount of charges.
Whereas,
right?
You can have a car that's 50 years old, and if the engine dies, you rebuild it for $1,000, and you're off and running.
Yeah, you take care of it, and
it'll run forever.
I don't know.
Fossil fuel vehicles will run forever.
I'm big on the recycling thing. You know. I'm here. I want to do my part. I'm more freaked out by what's in our oceans.
Yes.
And how we address that situation, because honestly, as far as ecosystem goes, I get that the air is very important, but the fact that majority of this planet of ours is water, and is ocean water at that. If that gets fucked up and those ecosystems go, which they are, that's a way, way, way bigger problem than, I think what's happening on land, in my personal opinion. I'm not sold on the whole electric car thing. Sorry, guys. I mean, I like a Tesla, but I would still, I think in a dual vehicle household, I'd have an electric vehicle, and I'd still have a gas vehicle.
To your point, I think everybody who actually owns a Tesla should have to go out and clean up the beach at least an hour a week.
I don't know. I feel like
if you're gonna do something,
I feel like the OG Tesla people, or like the Prius people for sure, would have been so down for that. They would have been like, yeah, like right on, let's do it. Now, because Teslas are trendy as shit, you have a different. I don't know. I don't see your son Nick out there cleaning up the beach an hour a week.
No, I don't even see him driving his Tesla much because he.
Does he forget to charge it?
It's like, no, it's just...
Or is he too busy driving...
He's scared to take it to Homestead.
Or is he too busy driving your Hellcat?
He's scared to take it to Homestead.
Sorry.
He's
guzzling ass fucking American made.
Muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's scared. He's scared to drive to Homestead.
Why? Is he afraid that it's going to run out of charge?
Yeah. I mean, you listen to these, We had friends drive down from New York, and... I'm talking to him. He's like, I couldn't imagine driving an electric car. You drive 300 miles, then you got to stop for 45 minutes. And you got to find a place to stop. And
that's my biggest fear, honestly. Like, because I'm terrible. First of all, we all know I have yet to show up. Maybe 2 out of our 49 episodes have I been here before our start time. It's usually, hey, ETA update. You know what I'm saying? And I point that out because I'm not the person that leaves time to stop and charge. You know what I mean? Like, oh, shit, I need to get to Orlando. I've got how much juice? Okay, bet. It's going to be a tight trip, but I can get there on the turnpike.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving myself an extra 20 minutes to pull over into the freaking rest area and charge up. I'm the person that is like, I get that every time I drive on 75, like across Florida to Naples, like from Miami to Naples, I always think about that. I'm like, oh,
I ran out of gas 3 weeks ago on 595.
I know, you told me.
So, listen, electric, forget about it. Gas, I can, hey, man, bring me some gas.
I would like for everybody to remember that Lenny said that Lenny ran out of gas on the highway, had to call a friend. This is not about electric versus gas. This is like the next time I tell Len that a light's on in my car or that I need windshield washer fluid or something along those lines, and he starts hitting us with the whole like, when you don't pay attention to the button and when the lights come on, bitch, you ran out of gas.
Yeah.
You ran out of gas. Like, you will never, just episode 49.
And listen,
episode
by the way,
49, I want to see it in the comments the next time Lenny
tries
to say
It's not the first time
some
I've
shit.
run out of gas. And it will not be the last time I run out of gas.
But he's probably always changed his oil on time.
Yes. Yes. Oil, fluids, all good.
I was going to switch gears, but I'm not even going to do it. We've been talking about the whole electric car thing. I love the insight. I'd love to get, again, some more pros on it. But I feel like, Lenny, because you love to have this debate with people, I feel like you just continuously are searching out new information on this particular subject. Because you do a pretty good job of holding down the topic whenever we broach it.
Well,
that's not always true with you. But in this particular arena, I definitely.
You mean I made up enough shit to make you think that I know what I'm talking about? Is that what you said?
Sure, that could be it too. No, because what you're saying falls in line with the stuff that I've read on my own.
It's what I've been. It's fact. It's fact. And things that bother me are not electric car, non-electric car. It's the fact that nobody sees. It's like everybody's looking at like this. They're focused on this needle point, and there's this giant ring going around it, and nobody ever sees that.
Well, you know what it is? It's like when the meteorologists tell you a million times, like the storm hasn't gone by. It's the eye of the storm, right? It's like we live in a perpetual state of the eye of the storm. Like, oh, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Yeah. And you can't see the 200-mile-an-hour winds or the wet side of the storm that's on the backside of this.
Yes.
That's kind of what it feels like.
And that's what it is. And it's almost with every topic that's out there.
Yeah.
It's.
Well, there's always a lot more to it. And again, depending on your circle of people, like depending on your level of interest in actually going out and getting information, you can be very limited in terms of the scope of perspective. And
yeah. And most people only care about one or two things in their life that affects them, and then
how did I come
the rest
about?
Of the shit?
Jesus.
The rest of the shit just goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember Saturday Night Live when the guy used to come on the sports? This is way back, Eddie Murphy days.
Okay. You're talking like 80s, like SNL?
Yeah. The guy used to come on. He's like, baseball been very, very good to me, right? Football, I don't know. Soccer, I don't know. But baseball been very, very good to me. And that's all he knows is baseball.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way
But you know what?
People are.
If more people would just own that, at least he owns that.
Yeah.
Right? At least he owns that he only knows baseball. He's not even trying to pull the wool over your eyes and pretend like he knows football or soccer. And that, I think, is a whole other podcast topic for sure, is people not really wanting to own their limit of knowledge or their limited capabilities.
They want to chime in half-cocked.
Yeah. there's nothing wrong with being wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with not knowing something. And in fact, I think it's an asset. It's actually a great character trait if you can admit when you don't know things and engage with somebody who knows more and really ask questions.
Yeah. And, opinions are great. Everybody, it's the value you guys have an opinion.
98% of what the podcast is, by the way.
And listen, it's almost all opinion. But the people who think the earth is flat, okay, you can believe that the earth is flat. I have no problem with that. But have you looked at
the earth?
Have you looked at the other things?
No. Have you looked at the earth? Because we've got pictures of it.
Sciences. I mean, have you tried walking from here? Or have you got on,
a boat?
Yeah, have you tried traveling around the world? Like, just get in a sailboat and go around the equator. And you might realize that it's not flat. So it's one thing to have a belief, and it's one thing to ignore clear proof. And we're learning new stuff every day.
Yep.
The civilization is much older than we think it is, or than our current history books think it is.
Than the Bible says it is, or our history.
Just in general, they've found written stuff going back further. You know what I mean? Written language going back way further than they believed before.
We know
we went from 5,000 years to 11,000 years.
Like, you're talking about with actual human
I'm talking about
and people and
I'm talking about
communication.
Civilization that is
not dinosaurs.
Yeah, advanced.
Yeah,
advanced civilization, as they'd like to call it.
Standing upright.
No, it's way past that. I'm talking about modern civilization, which is really, it was Egypt. It was 5,000 years ago. It was Egypt. It was the pharaohs. Now they're finding places that are 11,000 years old that had all of these advanced things. It's basically we don't know shit.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking with the state of 2023.
No, but electric cars are going to cool the planet. That's going to save us.
But again, to your point and how we started all of this, there are people that know that they're not. So again, is it doing something to help? I don't know. Actually, at this point, I don't.
Who knows?
But you have to start somewhere. Like, I'm not going to fault anybody for starting somewhere, because that is how change comes about. If you never try, if you never try to change anything, change never comes. So I'm not mad at the group of people that are trying to spur this moment forward, because this is where innovation comes from, right? Supply and demand. If nobody is demanding it,
battery technology has probably been doubling for the last.
Well, because now we need batteries for
10 years. Yeah, everything.
Everything. So.
But it's been doubling and doubling and doubling, and your phone is a perfect example. Your phone will hold a charge twice as long as your original iPhone did. We're on 14. Every time a new iPhone comes out, the claim is, it stays charged longer. But meanwhile, it's got 10 times the processing power of the last one. So it's using more energy and it's staying longer, which means the batteries are getting more efficient.
Okay, well, they need to partner up with Elon and figure some shit out.
Good luck with that.
But no, at the end of the day, I'm here for, again, innovation. I'm here for technology. I'm here for growing and getting better. And I'm here for the long, the long-sightedness of it all, not just what's happening right this minute. And I think we should all be looking at it that way. I'm not mad at our government backing companies that are looking for new ways to do things. I'm not mad at the energy companies that are willing to put resources behind, new technologies and research. But to your point, I'm not going to sit here and thumb my nose at the folks that are still driving a gas-powered vehicle like myself and are not ready to jump on the electric vehicle bandwagon, especially not the people that have done their due diligence and understand, hey, listen, I've weighed the pros and the cons, and the benefits to having this vehicle do not outweigh, its drain on resources at this moment. So until they can tell me that it does, or they can prove that it does, I'm going to stick with what I know. I'm not mad at anybody who does that. And I think when it comes to social media and it comes to the climate of 2023 and people getting into this fight with each other. It's like, listen, if it works for you, cool, that works for you. But again, do your full research and understand the larger scope of the situation before you start coming for and criticizing folks who aren't so quick to jump on the bandwagon. And that goes for everything, right?
Pretty much.
All right. Well, there you go. High five, Len. High five.
Shortest episode ever.
I think we did it. Episode 49 is a wrap. Please like, subscribe, share, follow, leave your comments. We love to hear from you. We're also on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, obviously on YouTube. We love to put up the YouTube shorts. If you have any ideas or if you'd like to be a guest, feel free to reach out. And yeah, we'll see you next week on the ManTFup podcast.
Peace.